Hello everyone. The topic for this presentation is business and ethics. We will speak about what are the various ethical considerations that needs to be undertaken for conducting a business through an honest mean, earning an honest day labor. Looking into it. So basically, I would love you to answer certain question, or should I say, I would try to answer certain questions to you. So the questions are mentioned out here. Explain why integrity and ethics are important for both corporation and individual in the world of business. Why? Because we should be able to be recognized as a socially responsible organization. Transparency is the keyword around here. We are sourcing raw materials, sourcing labor from a responsible, organic fashion, and things like that. So, integrity and ethics make sense because it projects a positive viewpoint. The corporate image builds upon it, and people would lap onto the product and service from an organization which is ethical, transparent, and sources responsibly. So, present business case for importance of integrity and ethics in business, definitely in terms of long-term value and protecting value. Yes, definitely. If we are environmentally conscious organization, probably, what it means. That means that we are causing the minimum of the damages to the environment at the same time carrying out with the commercial activities. So it's all about responsibility. We are looking at it. We are not looking at near-term profits but longer term sustainable profits over generations, both for the general public and for the organizations to come, times to come. The describe key components required to design, implement, support successful integrity and ethics program in the businesses. Definitely, yes, this needs to be understood and it changes from case to cases, time to time basis, as in what is ethical, what is understandable, or what should be permitted by the society. Probably we'll be answering such things in the subsequent slide altogether. And definitely I would love to suggest certain management approaches for business in terms of size, legal status, and level of complexity that carries out here. So these are the questions that I would try to make an effort to give you a viewpoint which is right, just, and valid for all over the globe. All so, business ethics. It's a study of business solutions, situations, activities, possibilities, decisions, opinions, and executions wherein the issues of right and wrong are addressed. Remember, Crane and Matten at 2009 stated out here, wherein in the Wikipedia, which I sourced it from, is also known as corporate ethics. It is a form of ethics or a professional ethic that examines ethical principles, moral or ethical problems that arises in a business environment, something which might be conducive or which might be detrimental. So any the long route is the honest route, and the shortcut is always the dishonest means that you want to carry it out, which reaps in a lot of profit, by the way. Morality is concerned with the norms, values, and beliefs. Remember, norms, values, belief changes from society to society, point of view to point of view, people to people, time zone to time zone, continent to continent, and economist to economy. Everybody has their own definition of what is right and what is wrong. Remember this thing, and we need to source it accordingly. So this is what about the business ethic is all about, the gamut of business ethic that we carry it out. Fostering culture of integrity is basically motivating employees to be responsible, to be sustainable, to be answerable, and so on and so forth. Promoting integrity, codes of ethics through modeling, mentoring, and so on and so forth. Definitely, yes. These are the activities that needs to be determined time and again. Ensuring that performance management and reward system do not, I repeat, do not contradict or undermine the core value of a business. And last but not the least is the demonstration of the employees that the business is willing to walk the talk. Whatever you say, whatever you preach, you actually practice. So this is all about being responsible not only on the basis of the corporate, but the corporates are made of the employees. The employees has to behave as per the dictum of the philosophy of good governance that the corporate actually preaches. It should not be left to papers as to we say all things, all flowery things, all decorative things, all sweet sayings, all everything is all about sweetness. But when it comes to action, it is otherwise. No, you need to walk the talk. Whatever you say, you practice. So ethical principles of business is solidarity, efficiency, rationality, fairness, and refraining from dishonoring someone else, and probably have a sense of responsibility. So what are ethical principles? It is all about taking the whole community at a go. You are not going, certain businesses have only niche audiences. That means they are going to service only a niche people. But believe me or not, if you are not catering to the betterment of the whole society, the whole community, the businesses sooner than later will actually see its door closing. So we need to be have that effect of we feeling brotherlyhood and community feelings amongst us. We need to be efficient, we need to be responsible as to not encourage any sort of wastages. Mind you, all wastages can pile up and it can backfire onto the environment. The pollution is will multiply, definitely. Yes, so we need to be very rational with our decision, we need to be very fair with our approaches. When we are not, I'm not talking only fair with the human beings, fair with all the animals in the kingdom altogether, all with the flora and fauna we are talking around it. We should be responsible as not to pollute our own rivers, as not to pollute the environment, in short. So basically, when we are not polluting, let it be a noise pollution, be it a air quality pollution, be it anything. If it is any carbon emitting industry that we are looking into it might be generating a lot of profit, but in the long run, it eventually comes back in the form of certain diseases, and you need to behave responsibly. So, what are we talking around it? So, establishing a business management system. Remember, number one thing is this step is wherein about a good governance that we talk around it. A good governance that needs to be stated around. The practice needs to be starts from the bottom, not from the bottom, but from the top. So, governance, the tone from the top, and the policies and procedures that we goes around it is to be adhered to, and this is where it comes around it. We need to talk, set up the policies, we need to set up the tone, we need to set up the languages, we need to ask our vendors, our stakeholders to be a party of it. We need to communicate with them, we need to tell them what is an expected, and this will lead us to something called management loop altogether, as to what will be done and what has been going to go around it. So we can have incidents, we can have learnings, we can go upon improving this cycle time and again, right from the governance of the top to the policies to the risk assessment of the third party for the training and development, and then the reporting system, the monitoring system, the auditing incidents, management learning loop continues to improvise all. So what are we talking about it? We are talking nothing but business integrity in terms of internal measures, external measures, and cooperative or collective measures. So it is in tandem that we work with each other, in responsible towards each other, that the whole planet will grow greener and flourish over a period of time. We should not exploit its resources to the hilt altogether. So ethical theories provides a framework for judging right or wrong. There are two types of ethical theories. One is the consequential list and non-consequential list. I remember the question that I've given it to you. I'm trying to answer them, each one of them subsequently in the slides. So what are consequential list? So consequences are good, action is right. Consequences are bad, action is wrong. Simple cause and effect theories. What is the outcome? If the outcome is good, definitely the action might be right. But again, on to this, there are two theories. One is of utilitarianism and egoism. So, utilitarianism, what does it mean, and what is egoism? Well, definitely explain it in the subsequent slide. So, what is ego? That equates morality with self interest, is all about ego. I say it's edging God out, is what is an ego is all about it. When E stands for edging, G for God, O for out. Now, this is my definition. It need not be your definition altogether. But understand this thing: when morality along is with mixes with the self-interest, it's a heady cocktail that forms around it called as egoism. Egoist contend that an act is a morally right, even if it promotes only his and his particular interest only. So that is where, as long as the gentleman or the lady or the corporation benefit, he or the corporation goes any fashion, goes the way, all the way to their benefit only. So that is what is an egoist is all about it. Remember, when you don't think about others, when you don't care about others, when you are only self-centered, when you have chuck to the values of own interest, that is what egoism and egoistic is about it. So moral philosopher distinguish between two kind of egoism. See, now I'm coming to the fragmented effort of two kind of egoism. What are they? One is personal, the other one is impersonal. That needs to be understood again and again. You need to go around it. The personal egoistic claim that they should pursue their own best interest, and that is what they do say. What others say to it. Impersonal egoistic claim that everyone should let self-interest guide his or her conduct. So basically, what about a personal egoistic claim? About their own personal interest, that they're looking into it and nobody else. So they do not care what other people says, what they are looking at it. Impersonal egoistic claims are that everyone should let self-interest guide his or conduct. So that is where you got to go around it. When you think about the greater good, that is the impersonal egoistic claim, and everybody should look for their own self-interest, and that's it. So one is self-centered, the other one is also self-centered, but in their own way. Everybody is fending for themselves together. So utilitarianism is what? It tells us about to bring the happiness to each and every one of us that should be affected by our action. It is the cause of greater good. We are looking at greater good for every one of them. That needs to be pointed out. We'll talk about the sixth point of utilitarianism. First, when deciding which action will produce the greatest happiness, we must consider unhappiness and pain as well as happiness. So first, a point of utilitarianism is to have the greatest of all happiness, and we must consider what is unhappiness, what is pain, as well as the best things for everyone. Second, action affects people of to different degree. Remember, the next four actions I will be talking about in the subsequent slide. The first is only about the greater good of the community. Second is to what effect, to what degree, to what everybody doesn't shouldn't be having impacted equally. They have difference in the affection altogether. So what actions to be affect in a different degree. Third, because utilitarians evaluate actions according to the consequences, and because every action, remember, every action produces different result. Why? Because of different circumstances. Why? Because of different time. Why? Because almost anything and everything may not be morally right in some particular situation. Definitely yes. Remember, an event, a coin has two perspective, two sides. So, the coin, even a coin has two sides. An event has to have many perspective as such. So there might be an event which causes greater good for the maximum number of people, but there might be a few people or few community or few affected groups who might be adversely affected. So these needs to be understood to evaluate the action and to their consequences for enacting upon it. Now comes the last three, a part of utilitarians. What do they want to go? They want to have just maximum happiness, but also in the long run. They want to go it, carry on the happiness for as long as possible. Fifth is utilitarian knowledge, acknowledge what to do and what not to do with certainty. The future consequences of our actions to be very well known. Accordingly, we must act so that the expected or likely happiness is as great as possible. This is what we need to go around it. And the sixth is your pain, your pleasure should be equally treated. It should not be akin to one another. So you need to understand the quantum of happiness as utilitarians are looking at into it. They are not looking for immediate happiness, but happiness is the longer terminologies altogether. They need to understand that the greatest good for the maximum number of people, so that can be attained. They are equating pain and pleasure and the same measuring parameter. So, use of utilitarianism in organizational context. What are they? First is to have the policies, have the procedures in place. So you have a policies and procedure in such a fashion that they have the maximum effect to the general public. They everyone benefit altogether, be it the customers, be it the employees. Second is utilitarians provides an objective and attractive way for resolving conflict of self-interest. And what is it? It is a win-win solution. Everybody ends up winning in the long run. And third is providing flexible result-oriented approach to moral decision making. Utilitarianism will tell it to you what is right and how can we ascertain in case things are not been abided in the shorter span of time. So we need to have certain result-oriented approach to moral decision making. We should rationalize adopting certain methodologies. Non-utilitarian theories, what are they? First is to have the maximum of the action, formulate so the greater good of the community as a whole. That is, figure out what general principles you would be acting if you are to perform the action in situation in which probably I need money and no probably I can't even pay back. Should I falsely promise to pay it back? Should I take a loan with an intent that I'm not going to repay it back or run away with the money? Is that the right thing? So probably no. To understand, then universalize the maxim. The what is maxim? That regard is a personal policy, but remember, it's not a principle for everyone. Let's say in a situation in which anyone needs money, for example, the previous case, I was requiring money and knows he or she cannot pay back. Even I know that he or she cannot pay back, and definitely he or she will promise to pay it back. Is it universally maxim? Yes, definitely. So what is my interest? I will take it and will understand what if somebody is asking for money altogether. I am just giving you a reference point to understand the philosophy between utilitarians theory altogether. So determine whether universal maxim could be a universal law. Probably yes. So that is what is possible to act as a universal maxim required. I am only elaborating it. Let's say if everyone started making false promises, will the society survive? Will there be system in the society, or will there be anarchy? So in the institution of promising would disappear completely, so no one would be able to make any false promises, since there would be nothing, no such thing as making a false promise. Everybody will come to know that whatever you take, whoever you ask for money, they will never going to repay back. So the concept of falseness, the concept of lies goes out the chimney altogether. Humanity as an end, never as a means. Remember, this is what is very important. Treat human being as an end, not as a means. Humans are worth in themselves, so you should respect their right. All effort should be done to improve the well-being of the human being. It is about the dignity that we are talking about it. And remember, we should not reach our objective through certain human as a mean to achieve the objective. Probably it should be the greater good of every one of us. Even the person who achieves the objective on behalf of us should bear the fruit, should have the fruit altogether, and the profit needs to be shared with everyone. So organizational implication that we come to around it, there are two alternative formulation to categorical imperative. The first one, that an act is right only if the actor is willing to be treated as so, if the position of the parties are reversed. So this is very important. Remember, I repeat this sentence for your understanding. The first is that an act is right only if the actor would be willing to be so treated if the position is of the parties are reversed. So if I ask for money and I don't intend to pay, well, that's one position. But if somebody asks for money and he or she doesn't intend to pay, Am I fine with it? Is it okay? If that is there, then the organization implication comes in. The second is that one must always act so that to treat other people as an end, and never forever as a means, just as a to achieve their objectives altogether. We come to the fag end of this presentation. So, what is this applying ethics on business and business cases for ethics? I am just giving you a broad goals that comes around it of sustainable development goals. There are 17 that I've performed it for your thing. The first thing is no poverty. First objective should be no poverty. Then should be zero hunger. Nobody should sleep with their empty belly. There should be a good health and well-being among the community. Everybody should have a quality of life, and that can only be had if they have some sort of education in their mind, some sort of education thought process which is proactive. There has to be a gender equality. There should not be any biasness with respect to the gender, be it the male, female, or the third gender we are talking around it. Looking at clean water and sanitation, everybody should have a right to access it. Everybody should have a right to a clean energy. A clean, when I say clean energy, I'm talking about the green energy which can be renewed upon, renewable energy. We should have a decent life, decent work environment. A proper economic growth is to be there. There has to be in industry, infrastructures, and innovation should be a part of the curriculum. Everybody should embrace the change for the betterment of themselves. Then we have reduced inequalities. Look at it, if everything, if everybody is happy, everybody's the purchasing power is more or less the same, things would be much more happier and the world would be a much safer place. Sustainable cities and communities are other aspect that we can go around it. We should be talking about responsible consumption. Remember, responsible production. Remember, the raw material that we are using as our resources should be responsibly sourced. We are talking about climate action. We are talking about life below waters. We are talking about anything and everything. It is not only below water, it's above water on the land also. We are talking about just and strong institution. We are exposing peace amongst ourselves, not indulging in the forthcoming World War III that certain propounds are hounding with the invasion of Russia, Ukraine by Russia, and their partnership should be the ultimate goal of every human being, every community, every society, and the world will become a wonderful places to work around. That is what is meant by business ethics. And with this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video.